if you ever need help on the homework, I would always check the file I post online. Depending on the day, sometimes that file, by the time B8 has occurred, the file gets pretty large because every class has asked different questions. For example, this question was not asked at A1, but a couple of different questions were. So the file can be very useful. It's only time to just copy the work. If you're copying the work, you're just wasting your time. It's not going to help at all. Like really, don't waste time by just copying. It's not going to help. You get 10% for the homework and 90% for the test. So, welcome to college. All right.
Thanks for that.
Well, you know, encouraging words and all. Okay. Welcome to life. Yeah, some people don't understand that, like, when you work for a company, they're, okay, true story. When I worked for, my first job out of college was with Exxon, the oil company. Okay, they treated me extremely well. Like, I graduated from college, they paid for a moving van to show up at my apartment for myself, my wife, and my little girl. And it's amazing, maybe some of you have had this happen, but the moving van shows up and you just leave. Like, you just leave your apartment how it normally is. You don't do a single thing. When you come back, there's nothing in the apartment. And the car's not there either. They take everything. And they took the car, they like thieves, yeah. So they load everything in the van.
It's a fake movie.
I'm
gonna get one of those.
They load everything in the van. Then Exxon, they paid for us to fly down. They paid for myself, my wife, my daughter to fly down. They paid for a rental car. They paid for a hotel for like 3 or 4 weeks while we looked for an apartment. Once we found it, they paid for all the food for all of that time. Okay? Wow. They paid for, once we found the apartment. What's that?
What did you pay for?
Nothing. Other than I spent 5 years in college working really, really hard to get a really good grade point average so that Exxon would hire me. So that's what I did. So when we find where we want to live, we call up the moving company. Now, they don't unpack it, but they bring everything in, and everything is packed like beautifully, like all the dishes, all your clothing, it's all just perfect. You just unpack it in your apartment, right? Now, so they treated me very well, but here's the reality. They only give credit for trying for a while. If you can't find a way to be productive for the company, they're not going to keep paying you. And it was a really hard job, man. I could not figure out what I was supposed to do. It was so different than school. And I was making pretty good progress by about 2 years, but I had really struggled, honestly, to be productive. It wasn't that I wasn't trying. I was trying very hard, but I just wasn't being productive. After 2 years, they said, no, we got to let you go. Now, they still treated me really well because they let me go in September, and they continued to pay me full benefits, full salary, clear until January. And I only worked there for 2 years. Right? Yeah, so they were very, very generous in how they treated me. Like, I felt like, oh yeah, you can't treat me better. But the bottom line is this. Like, when I say that in college, 90% is the test score, 10% is the homework, that's because you only get so much for trying. Like, you have to find a way to succeed. You have to. That's the reality of the world. Like, no employer is going to pay you for just trying forever. Yeah, and we get used to in school the idea that trying is good enough. We do. We get used to the idea that if I simply try, I should get a B. No. Okay? You got to show me that you can succeed. So, and in college, hey, public school has the culture that if you show up and try, you should pass, whether you have learned anything or not. College isn't like that. If you can't prove that you learned it, you'll get an F or a D, and a D doesn't count for anything in college. It doesn't count towards your major requirement. And then you just got to do it again. So it is just the hard reality of life. So, welcome to life. All right. Wow, it's a really exciting thing to tell you to do before Thanksgiving holiday.
I'm thankful.
I'm thankful for this life. All right. Harsh as it is. Okay, on the test, listen, hey, one thing I'm going to ask everybody to answer this. On the test, you're going to encounter about 12. The test is really a semester test. Like, I think I've made that clear through all the homework, that I've been giving you, the review test will make that clear. You're being tested on everything you have learned this entire semester. That's Unit 3. I told you from the beginning it was 1 and 2 combined. But about half the problems involve sign charts. You got to know which sign chart to make. So like everyone to vote. So the function f is given, on which the following intervals is f increasing. So you're going to vote secretly. This means we should be making a sign chart of f. This indicates like a tick mark. So this means we should be making a sign chart of f prime, f double prime, f triple prime by chance. So show me your vote. What do we make a sign chart of? Good, just give yourself 2 tickets. You need a sign chart of f prime. So here's f. Therefore, f prime is going to be 4x cubed plus 2x. I factor so let's see, I can factor out a 2x. That will leave a 2x squared plus 1. Is there any questions to that? Intention right now is really, really good. This is how college classes tend to feel one of 2 ways. I've had classes where they're given in an auditorium, the professor has a microphone, and people talk all the time. He just stands up there and keeps talking. And it's kind of helpful. Okay? Kind of. Depends on the teacher. Like I remember Dr. Merrill in physics. He was actually quite good. About 300 people. I felt like going to class was very valuable. I learned quite a bit from just listening carefully what he said. Didn't feel like comfortable asking a lot of questions because it was such a big group. But he was good at explaining things, better than just reading alone. Had a different teacher for Math 214, that's Calc 3. Don't remember his name. Notice, like it's been 30, this was in 1983, it's been 33 years. I remember Dr. Merrill's name because he did a good job. The Calc teacher, I don't remember his name. Oh, no, I do, Dr. Tolman. Yeah, he didn't do a good job. He would stand in front of the class for the whole 50 minutes and just talk with his microphone. And I felt like, I'm not understanding anything you are saying. So I did what I considered to be a smart thing. I said, I'm not coming to class anymore because why should I waste 50 minutes coming to class when it doesn't help? So I went to the math lab where I could check out the solution manual. The solution manual is a book that shows the answer to every problem as well as the step-by-step problem worked out. Like I said a minute ago, copying that doesn't help anything. But studying that, making sense of it, asking the TA questions when necessary, that's how I learned Calc 3. You got to learn it some way because you're going to get graded either way. If the professor's good or bad, you've got to figure out a way to learn this. So, everybody good to hear?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I need a sign chart. Let's see. Somebody asked me this morning, they said, I keep saying make sure your sign chart is large. And he asked a great question. He's like, what do you mean by large? Large is a relative term. So here's what I would always do. Look at the factors, 2x and 2x squared plus 1. Identify for each factor the value of x, which will cause the factor to equal 0. So one person raise your hand, it's an easy question, I'll just pay you. What value of x causes this factor to equal 0? 0. So we know one of the points we've got to pay attention to, 0.
Yeah.
This one's a bit of a trick question. I want to ask the whole class. If it feels like a trick question, then you know the answer. If you're like, why is he saying it's a trick question, then you probably don't know the answer. But raise your hand if you know. What value of x will cause this factor to equal 0? What value of x will cause this factor to equal 0? If it feels like a trick, you've got the answer. What value of x causes this to equal 0? Jackson?
There's no value.
There is no value. If I plug in a positive and square it, the result is positive. Times 2 is still
Positive.
plus 1 is still positive. Plug in a negative and square it, the result is positive, same thing. Plug in 0, this becomes 0 plus 1 is positive. Somebody knew that before Jackson said it. 2, 3 for Jackson. So that means the sign chart, as far as how big to make the sign chart, doesn't really matter. there's only one number I'm even concerned about, that's x equals 0. So if you want to make a really small sign chart for this one, feel free. So here's 2x. Here's 2x squared plus 1. Let's see, 0, negative, positive. This is always positive. Therefore, my sign chart for f prime is 0, negative, positive. I simply write down, let's see, f of x is increasing where or when f prime of x is positive which is the interval, I forgot to say is, sorry, which is the interval let's see, 0 to infinity. Question?
Can you just go over how you like got the answer of this?
Right here.
Yeah.
So I look at Danica's chart and note that when f is increasing, f prime has positive y coordinates. So here's the sign chart for f prime. So looking at the chart, for what values of x is f prime positive?
That's what I used. Okay.
Do we know? Think about?
Number 10.
Number 10? Okay, what is the minimum value of f? Same vote again, secret ballot. I gotta do a sign chart because I have no way of making graphs. So, do I make a sign chart of f prime, f double prime, f triple prime? I'm trying to figure out where f has a, what is the minimum value of f? What do I need a sign chart of? Secret ballot, please. Doing this, you get 2 more tickets. You find the minimum value of f by making a sign chart of f prime. So here we go. It's the product rule. Second function multiplied by the derivative of the first, plus the first function multiplied by the derivative of the second. The ln rule is the derivative of the ln of something is 1 over the something multiplied by the derivative of that something. So you end up with a very simple formula for f prime. Very simple formula for f prime. You would have a question, or you need to clarify anything, or say it again, or whatever. So, everybody good? Cool. I need a sign chart of f prime. I cannot make a sign chart of the ln of x and a sign chart of 1, because those aren't factors of L. They aren't factors of f prime. They're terms that are being added. So the only thing I can do is make a sign chart with this as an entire factor. So basically, kind of unusual, I'm making a sign chart of f prime just directly. So that means we've got to figure out when this factor is going to equal 0. So we've got to think here, ln of x plus 1, for what value of x does that equal 0? Now, I gave you information last time. I said it needed to be memorized. You've got to know the ln of e is 1, the ln of e squared is 2, et cetera, so that you can now answer this question. Let's see how many people know it. If you don't know this, you can plan on missing 2 questions on the test right away. What value does x need to be so that this is going to equal -1, therefore -1 plus 1 will equal 0? All we know. What value must x have so that the ln of that value is -1? What value must x have, parents? E to the -1. So we write down here, x is equal to e to the -1, which is the same thing as 1 over e. So that means if we said the natural log of e to the -1 plus 1, that's going to equal -1 plus 1, which is 0. So this key value is x must equal 1 over e. How many knew that before she said it? 2 points, 3 for Paris. Anyone need me to clarify, talk about it again? Sarah?
So is ln of 1 is not 0?
No, ln of 1 is 0, so stay with me. So if x were equal to 1, the ln of 1 would equal 0, but then so you still have the adding 1, so the whole value would not be 0. We want the whole expression to equal, so you see the difference. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyone else? Please.
So the answer in the packet is C, which is -1 over E.
Yeah, we haven't really finished. All we figured out so far, Ellie, is that f prime will equal 0 when x is equal to 1 over e. We don't know anything beyond that, so we haven't really answered the question at all. So hold tight for that. I can make a sign chart now, though. Let's see, I start at 0, because I told you last time that the natural log of 0 is undefined. And I told you to memorize that. I also told you that the natural log of any negative is also undefined. I told you to memorize that as well. So we have 0, we have x. The number I'm most interested in is right here. 1 over e. And as I hear Oakley saying, e is about 2.7. So this is about 1 over 2.7, or pretty darn close to 1/3, just to get a sense for what number we're really talking about. It's just a number. E isn't some special equation. It's not some hidden meaning. It's just a number. We need clarification to there. So we know that f prime, which is the same thing as the natural log of x plus 1, this is going to equal 0 when x is equal to 1 over e. You need to figure out the rest of the sign chart. Figure out the rest of the sign chart by testing. So you need to test a number that is less than 1 over e. But it's got to be some power of e, otherwise I won't be able to evaluate the natural log without a calculator. So somebody raise your hand. Okay, everyone who knows. All who know, what's a number that is less than 1 over e, it has to be a power of e. See, 1 over e is e to the -1. They're the same thing. So what's a e to some power that's less than e to the -1, or less than 1 over e? Someone knows. Kel. E to the -2. Because e to the -2, Kel, what's another way to write e to the -2? 1 over e squared. And Mikkel, since e is about 2.7, any guess is good enough. 2.7 squared is going to be about, sounds good, okay? You know it's, 2 squared is 4, right? 3 squared is 9, so it's 1 over 5, 6, 7, something like that. Certainly less than 1 over 3. So we have found a value that is less. We can plug it in with Cal. What is the natural log of 1 over e squared? Oh, no, sorry. 1 over e squared is about 1/5 or whatever. What's the natural log of 1 over e squared?
Oh,
Same thing as the natural log of e to the negative 2,
negative,
negative 2. What's negative 2 plus 1? Say it louder.
negative.
Negative 1, so this is negative. That means these are all negative. Okay, 5 points for Mikhail for being very patient with a lot of questions. Anyone need clarification, restatement, anything? So now you test on the other side. So you need a value of e that's bigger than e to the negative 1. There's a big long list of powers of e that belong over here.
Which is even one.
E to the 1 would work. What's the natural log of e to the 1?
0. Wait, no, 1.
1. So the natural log of e is 1. What's 1 plus 1?
2.
Which is
Positive.
positive. That would work. What's another value of exponent of e that could fit over here? E works. What else works?
Squared.
Braden says e squared. So if you plug in e squared, what's the natural log of e squared? 2. What's 2 plus 1? Positive or negative? Positive. So that tells me what's going on over here. What's another power of e that you could use over here?
E to the E.
E to the e. 2.7 tickets for Mr.
Ooh, now you're getting
Richards.
creative.
So, no, 2.7, yeah. We're around to 3. So Landon, what's the natural log of,
Math jokes.
what's the natural log of e to the e?
E.
E, what's e plus 1? About
4.
About 4-ish, yeah. Definitely positive. 2 more tickets. You actually did a really smart thing. You got to the point where you were treating e like what it is. It's just a number. It's not magical, it's not mysterious, it's not frightening, it's just a number. Good work. So you now have a sign chart for f prime. And we made the sign chart of f prime so we can make a picture of f. So I'm going to make a picture of f. So f prime is negative, that means f goes down. F prime is positive, f goes up. This is the most important point on f. So whole class, raise your hand if you know the x coordinate right here, please. Hands, please, come on. Who knows the x coordinate? Gotta get you to think with me. If you're not thinking with me, there's no reason to be in class. You might as well just stay home and watch the video. What is the x coordinate of this point? What is the x coordinate? All of you know. Let's go, Tara.
Is it 1 over e?
Very good. It's 1 over e. And then Tara, we don't know the y coordinate, but we can write a symbol that would represent the y coordinate. What's that symbol?
Yeah, I thought
It's good, not f prime at f. So here we have f of 1 over e. How many knew that? Had your hand raised before I called on Tara? 3, 4 for Tara. You will need me to restate, clarify, questions? Cool. The question says, what is this, back to what Ellie was saying? What is the minimum value of f? Well, here's a picture of f. We can see where the minimum occurs. The minimum value is at 1 over e. But several people have told me that that's not one of the answers, which I can plainly see. It's because they're not asking for where the minimum occurs. They're asking for what is the minimum. So how do I find the minimum of f? This is where the minimum occurs. It's at 1 over e. Right?
Wouldn't you plug in the x and y values in the?
He's right. We do need to plug something into something because we're trying to find the minimum value of f. So let's go, Chen.
Wouldn't you plug the 1 over e into the equation for the f of x?
Perfect. This is f. We want to know the lowest value of f. We know the lowest value occurs when x is equal to 1 over e, so we plug 1 over e into f. So we don't have any question with that. 1 or 2 if that makes perfect sense. Show me. 1 or 2 if that makes perfect sense. Ellie's really good at questioning, so you said 2. So
Yeah, so, I was wondering, like, it's a perfect understanding anyway.
you're okay.
So, in order to find the y, because it's asking what is the maximum minimum value, so you're gonna plug it into the equation up on there.
Right, but I don't want you really saying the top, but what I want you to say is we're plugging it into F. Yeah, because the equation may not be at the top, it may be in the middle or the bottom or whatever. The key thing is that this is a picture of F.
Yes.
Trying to find the minimum value of F, the lowest point. So because F goes down and then F goes back up, there's only one place that can be lowest, it's where the switch occurred.
Yes.
So that's at x equal 1 over e,
And we're trying to find the y.
trying to find the y.
So that's why we plug in at over.
Yes. Does that help?
Yes.
Should we 1 or 2, but now makes perfect sense. It still doesn't, don't, but I knew Oakley could help because he's very good at that. 2 tickets for the room, much better, good. So we go find f of 1 over e. So let's see, f of 1 over e is equal to, it was x times ln of x, so 1 over e multiplied by the natural log of 1 over e. It's the kind of thing where speed is very important. It takes you a long time to answer this question. You need to spend more time with your flashcards. So please, whole class, speed is important. What is the natural log of 1 over e? Answer this, whole class. The speed at which you answer is important. What is the natural log of 1 over e? Eric? -1. So that's why we know that the minimum value of f of x is at x equal 1 over e, where f of 1 over e is equal to a negative 1 over e. That's the minimum value of f of x. Erica told us that this was -1. How many knew that before Erica said it? 2 more, 3 for Erica. Good question. Guarantee there's at least 1 question, perhaps 2 on the test on December 7th that will probe your understanding of how to find the minimum or maximum of some function. Please.
Do you always need to write an explanation?
You don't. When I'm posting these notes online, I sometimes will try to put in a few extra words here and there just to kind of make it clearer. Yeah. Being a multiple choice question, you don't actually have to write anything. And even if it were like a written question on the AP test, you still wouldn't actually have to write anything. You just have to have shown that you found f of 1 over e to be equal to -1 over e. Putting a box around that on the AP test written portion would be good enough. It's perfect. You watch for the key word is justify your answer, give a reason for your answer. If they say that, hopefully then we've got to write a sentence or two. So. Anybody else? Otherwise, it's simply show your work. Ellie?
So when I think minimum values, I think of like concave up because that'll give me the minimum value.
Don't. Everyone hear this, really, free for Ellie. Don't associate concavity with minimum and maximum. It kind of works, but it doesn't always work. So it can lead to a problem. For example, here's something that can, how do I say this? Like, here's a graph, Ellie, that is constantly switching from concave down to concave up to concave down again to concave up forever. And this graph never has a maximum. It never has a minimum. So if you associate a minimum or a maximum always with concavity, you can be misled. So I don't ever do that. What I look at is decreasing versus increasing. That's what I'm always focused on. When it says minimum, I'm thinking decreasing versus increasing, not concavity. That's why when I asked the first question, they said find the minimum of f, Ellie. And I said, are we going to do f prime, or f double prime? I stopped right at f prime because I want to find out when f is going up and down. He wants to bring a question with them to class. Please. 8. 7. I will ask the whole class to get secret ballot. Just read the question. Show me, do we need a sign chart of F, F prime, F double prime, F triple prime? Show me. Read the question. What do we need a sign chart of? You have to do this in about 12 different test questions. Just pick the right sign chart. Doing this, give yourself 2. F has a relative maximum when F changes increase to decrease. So if I look at Danica's chart, F has a relative maximum when F changes increase to decrease. Therefore, I need a sign chart of F prime. Question. Cool. So we make a derivative here. So we got F of x minus 2, x minus 3 squared. Use the product rule to start with. This derivative is 1. Use the power rule. Pause there for notes and questions. Watching everyone's pencil, wait for everyone to stop. They'll be caught up. Cool. So keep going here. Oh, that's terrible. This derivative is just 1, so this is pretty simple now. X minus 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by x minus 3. The x minus 3 is a common factor. So I factor it out. Other questions are there? Please.
What happened to the derivative of x minus 3?
No worries. So right here I use the power rule. So I brought down the 2 to here, and then multiply by the something, raise it to the new exponent, and then multiply by the derivative of that same something. See that?
Yeah.
Good. And then this derivative is simply 1, so 1 multiplied by whatever is just the 1 up.
Oh.
Good question, Lindsay. No? Cool. There's nothing here, here, or here. So those parentheses aren't needed. I can distribute this quickly to kind of clean things up a little bit. let's see, that becomes x minus 3 plus 2x minus 4. I collect the like terms. 3x minus 7. Now I have a nice factored version of f prime. Questions? Anyone?
It's just the next step to create a sign chart.
Next step, create a sign chart of f prime. But like I said, first step in creating the sign chart of f prime is to identify what values of x cause each factor of f prime to equal 0. This one's pretty easy. When x is equal to 3, this will equal 0. This one some people have trouble with, so just write down what you're trying to accomplish, which is we want 3x minus 7 to equal 0. Just do a little algebra. 7/3. It's important that we know at least the approximate decimal equivalent for 7/3 so we can get it in the right place on the sign chart. Otherwise, you will get the entire question wrong for a small thing. So hands up if you can tell me what's the rough decimal equivalent or the exact decimal equivalent of 7/3. You at least have to know where it fits. Is it between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4? If you know any of those things, it's good enough. You know the exact decimal, the approximate decimal. If you know it's between 1 and 2, between 2 and 3, between 3 and 4, you got to know where it fits. If you don't know where 7/3 fits, you're going to get the problem wrong. So who knows where 7/3 fits? So Sarah? Because 7/3 is what? 2 and a third. Yeah, 7/3 is exactly 2 and 1/3. So it fits right between, what's the word? It's right between 2 and 3. So now I know the size of my sign chart should be, you know, kind of whatever. The only numbers I really care about are 3, and I want to get some space here, and 7/3. And wherever 0 is, I don't really care. It's over here somewhere, so maybe there, I don't know. Any questions? How many knew that before Sarah said it? 2, 3 for Sarah. Awesome. So we make the chart, x minus 3. Goes really fast. 3x minus 7. Do a quick test. 0. That would be negative. Something big like 3. 3 times 3 is 9 minus 2. That's positive. Therefore, I know that f prime has this sign chart. Question, please.
When do you know, so on this one, we did that extra f parameter, so the other one, because we didn't have 2 factors, we did it? Is that just how you know when to do that last step?
Gotcha.
In the sign charts?
Great question. You, honestly, you would like to have f prime, whatever you're making the sign chart of, you want it to be as factored as possible. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck. So this one, I just kept going and going until I had done every possible factoring I could think of. Okay. On the other one back here, there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I have no choice but to figure out how to make a sign chart of this as a single factor.
Okay.
Good questions. What else? Always 2 points to be asked. Jackson, please.
So on that, not this one, but
You're good.
the one we just did, say you didn't know that the x minus 3 factored out, would we be able to take that whole thing as one factor and would it still work?
Good question. Outstanding, actually. Like this right here.
Yeah.
Theoretically, yes. Practically, no. Like, you're not going to be able to figure out. You might luck into it. But because one of the factors was actually, like one of the key values was 7/3.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty tough to find just kind of guessing and checking. That's why factoring really is so important. So it's legal. Like if you make a sign chart of this and you succeed, totally legal. Just hard. Does that make sense? Good question. 3 tickets. You can only make a sign chart with factors of whatever you're making the chart of, or you can just do the whole thing at once.
So you have to have just, so just be one line.
One line. Yeah, what you can't do, Ellie, is a sign chart of this and a sign chart of this,
Yeah.
because they're added. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just clarify.
Great question. 3-2. Anybody else? So back to here. We're supposed to figure out when f has a relative maximum. So I write down in my paper, if it were the written portion, I'd say f has a relative max when f changes increase to decrease, or f prime changes positive to negative, which is at x equal 3. No, 730, sorry. Questions? Please.
So why do we have 730 instead of 30?
So I'll get you to answer this. So at x equals 3, how is f prime changing? No, it's a very good answer. At exactly x equal 3, f prime is exactly 0. So when we say, how is f prime changing at x equal 3, what we're really saying is, what's f prime prior to x equal 3?
Oh, negative.
Good. Then what's x equal 3 after, what's f prime after x equal 3?
Positive.
Good. So at x equal 3, how is f prime changing? No, I should say around x equal 3. Yeah, my bad.
Negative to positive.
Good answer. I'm just saying it badly. So around x equal 3, how is f prime changing?
Negative to positive.
Negative to a positive. So how would f be changing? Decreasing to increasing,
Which is not what we're looking for.
which is not what we're looking for.
Do we have to put that in again, like,
Ah, great question, Sarah. 3 for Oakley, 3 for Sarah. In this case, no, because it says for what value of x? For what value of x does f have a relative maximum? We found the x value. The x value is 730. Questions? Cool. You must bring a question within the class. Okay, so the homework tonight, no new concepts. There's this packet, which is a review thing, and then I have a practice test after this, when we get back from the break, a couple of practice tests. No new concepts, just reminding you of what you need to know for the test. There really were not that many new concepts for Unit 3. It's more just like, how do I apply all this stuff? How do I remember some algebra? Et cetera, et cetera. You're welcome. Sorry. Yes, a little tight. From last period. Anyone lives in area?
Oh, I did.
Oh, last yesterday. We can dispose of that now. I don't know. So far away, I couldn't see. No. Ah, dang it. you say? Good work.
Put me behind in the class.
You'll be all right. You'll be all Hey, look up, please. Look up, look up, look up, look up. Look at the board. Okay, this is in your buff packet. It's problems 19, 20, and 21. I'm going to do this a little different than we usually do. We're going to start with work I've already done and talk about it. But you'll be wanting to, not in the packet, but in your notebook, getting this stuff documented as we talk about it. Okay? I'm just thinking sometimes it actually helps to see the picture as a whole instead of in pieces. It sometimes makes a little more sense. It's good to go back and forth both ways, but instead of step by step, say here's the solution. So the question says f is defined for all x except 0. They give a point on the graph of h, sorry, h not f. And then they say h prime is this formula. Okay, now get used to something. Look at me. Everyone look at the board. This is what's called a free response question. That means they're going to give you some information, then they're going to start asking questions. A, B, C, D, etc. So the questions always relate to the information given. But they always give information first, no question. Just information, then question. We got it? Now the information doesn't necessarily have to be used entirely in part A, or part B, or part C. It's just going to be used somewhere in there. And even once in a while they give stuff you don't even need. Everybody with me? Okay. Welcome to real life. All right. First question says, find all values for which the graph of h has a horizontal tangent. Because there's a comma, I stop right there. I don't do anything else. I just do what I've read. Because that's how FRQs work. I'm going to get some points for doing that. But do that first, and I'll worry about doing the rest. So find all values of x for which the graph of h has a horizontal tangent. So I need all of you to think for a minute. Don't look at the board, just kind of think. What's going to cause h, like what will be the indication that h has a horizontal tangent? Raise your hand if you know. What's going to be the indication that h has a horizontal tangent? That's what we're looking for. Where does h have a horizontal tangent? What is going to indicate that h has a horizontal tangent? Amanda?
Sorry.
No worries.
What if you think about someone?
Not a bad idea. Doesn't have to be. So here's what Amanda's thinking. 2 tickets. She's thinking something like this. 1 second, let me get a picture. It's a very good comment, actually. she said, let's see, here's H. If H does this, that part's true. This would be a horizontal tangent on H. Spell it right. So one possibility is that H could look like that. It's very good. H could have a horizontal tangent if H looks like this. What's another way that, what would be another indicator that H has a horizontal tangent? All we know, come on, gotta get you thinking, not just watching. What's another indication that H has a horizontal tangent? So, Kelsey.
So on H, would it be when it changes in cavity?
Concavity, no. Like here's an example. Here's H changing from concave down to concave up, and where the change occurred, that's definitely not a horizontal tangent.
So would it be increasing or decreasing?
That's better. We're getting close now. Here's another counterexample though. Here's H changing from increase to decrease. Does H have a horizontal tangent where that change occurred? No, so that's an indicator that sometimes works. The concavity sometimes works as well. It doesn't work all the time, so we don't rely on it. So what Amanda said is true. If H does this, has a bump, then definitely H will have a horizontal tangent. What else is going to indicate, like what for sure will indicate that H has a horizontal tangent?
A limit of
That's a horizontal asymptote.
Oh,
That's what you
okay.
remember. Listen to Heidi. Hey, you'll need that for the test.
Okay.
When a function has a horizontal asymptote, the limit as x approaches infinity is the value of the asymptote. That's perfect for a horizontal asymptote.
Okay.
We're looking for where H has a horizontal tangent. Landon.
Would that be a relative or a relative maximum or minimum? Either
Same
one?
kind of problem as who said increase to decrease? Kelsey. The increase to decrease, same problem actually. Because here's a relative max, like this, not a horizontal tangent. Here's a relative min, not a horizontal tangent. There's something very specific that will indicate a horizontal tangent.
When the slope of the line is good.
Perfect. When the slope of the function is 0. How many knew that before she said it? 3, 4 for Amanda. When they say where does H have a horizontal tangent, you're looking for where the slope of H is 0. The thing you'll see is something like this. Here's one example. Here's another example. Here's H having a horizontal tangent. Here's another example. Here's one more. So here are places where H has horizontal tangents, where the slope, not drawn perfectly, but that's the rough idea. Those are places where H has horizontal tangents. But the key thing is H has a horizontal tangent. You need to memorize this. H has a horizontal tangent where H prime of x is equal to 0. Write that down, memorize it. H has a horizontal tangent when H prime of x is equal to 0. Show me one or two if that makes perfect sense. H has a horizontal tangent when H prime of x is equal to 0. Show me one or two if that makes perfect sense. One is good, 2 is not. 2 points for the review, whatever question. Awesome. So back to here. That's why in the problem I said, here's H prime. I've got to figure out when H prime is going to equal 0. Okay, H prime is a fraction. That's the whole room. If the bottom becomes 0, raise your hand if you know the value of H prime. I don't care what the top is. If the bottom is 0, what will be the value of H prime? Show me your hands. Who knows? If the bottom is 0, what's going to be the value of H prime? If the bottom is 0, what's the value of H prime? So Brady?
0.
0 is a good try, 2 points. If the bottom is 0, it's code for no. If the bottom is 0, it's code for you're wrong! Good. didn't scare anybody, that was worthless. Wasted my voice on something that didn't scare a single person. Okay. Wasted effort. Try again later. Okay. That hurts too, I don't like doing that. I mean, you know how Mr. Rucky does. Yell endlessly.
He is
Hurts.
always yelling.
Yes, all the time. It hurts. I don't like the feeling. So, if the bottom is equal to 0, what's the value of h prime? Alyssa. H prime is undefined. We knew that. 2, 3 for Alyssa. If the top of h prime is 0, but the bottom isn't. We already said if the bottom's 0, the whole thing's undefined. If the top is 0 and the bottom is not, what's the value of h prime? Hands please. If the top of h prime is 0, the bottom is not, what's the value of h prime? Let's go Paris. 0. How many knew that? 2, 3 for Paris. That's why I wrote on the board, I've got to figure out when x squared minus 2 is equal to 0. I need to figure out when x squared minus 2 is equal to 0. This showed up on a previous homework problem. That's going to happen when x is either equal to a positive root 2 or x is equal to a negative root 2.
Wait. Why would be negative root 2?
Gotcha. Let's write something down so you can see it a little better. So, right here, let's erase this and write this a little bit better. So let's try it. Square root of 2 squared minus 2. So Jackson, what's the square root of 2 squared? 2. And then 2 subtract 2 is, so that works great. If I plug in negative root 2, it's like plugging in negative 1 times root 2 multiplied by negative 1 times root 2. So you have 4 things to multiply now. 1, 2, 3, 4. These two multiply to make positive 1. Root 2 times root 2 is still 2. 2 minus 2 is still 0. Okay. Makes sense? Anyone else? Question? So I could write on my test now, h of x has horizontal tangents much. So h of x has horizontal tangents where, voice still hurts, h prime of x is equal to 0, which is at x equal root 2 and x equal negative root 2. I have answered the first part of the question. Right there. Questions from the room? Please.
So when you're doing that for QD,
Great question. I don't really have to. Again, it's more just to make sure the notes make a little more sense if somebody looks at them online. Because the question says, find all values of x. Oh, actually, kind of says justify your answers. Yeah, you have to have a reason. Whenever they say justify your answers, you cannot simply list the answer. You've got to give a why statement. That's very good, Brady. So on an FRQ, you really would have to say this. That's very good. Because they say justify. If they don't say justify, Brady, you can just list them. You can just put a box around these right here, and that would be sufficient. They'll just see that you found them. So, what else? Cool, we go to the next question then. The next question says, determine whether h has a local min, local max, or neither at each of these values. So we're back to a picture like this. Here's h. If h looks like this, where there's a horizontal tangent, that's a local maximum. If h looks like this, where there's a horizontal tangent, that's a local minimum on h. If h looks like either of these two, that's a neither. It's not a local max or a local min. Question? Cool. Go back over here. We don't have the ability to make a graph of H though. So we have to make a sign chart. Back to doing this, secret ballot. So, do we do a sign chart for H prime, H double prime, H triple prime in order to figure out whether H has a local min, local max at these 2 points? What do we need a sign chart of? H prime, H double prime, H triple prime. What do we need a sign chart of? The answer's kind of on the board. Kind of on the board, that's the most. How about the answer is on the board? To be more accurate, so if you're doing this, give yourself 2 tickets. We need H prime. So I listed the factor x squared minus 2. I listed the other factor x. This factor charts very quickly. This factor, I listed the 2 values which cause the factor to equal 0. Then I tested. So I plug in a 0. 0 squared is definitely 0 minus 2. That's definitely negative. These are positive, but I want to make sure you understand the test. So someone, actually, the whole room on this one, I'll pick everybody. Pick a value for x that is bigger than root 2 and raise your hand. Pick a value for x that is for sure bigger than root 2 and raise your hand. Any value that's bigger is fine, so just bigger. What's a value for x that's bigger than root 2? Lindsay? 3 is an awesome choice. So Lindsay, take 3. What's 3 squared?
9.
Good. 9 minus 2 is
7.
positive or negative?
Positive.
Perfect. So no, these are all positive. How many would have chose something like what Lindsay did? From your hands. 2 tickets, 3 for Lindsay. Similar over here, we could choose negative 3. Negative 3 squared. 9 minus 2, still positive. Question. Now you make the sign chart for H prime. Okay. This factor gets divided by, do you hear the word? This factor gets divided by this factor. That's how H prime is formed. Look at H prime. So that means 0 divided by negative is 0. However, a negative divided by 0 is a fine. 0 divided by positive is 0. I noticed that at both, so here's my kind of rough picture of H. Give me a scenario of the living there. You must spoke to that earlier today. The joke's just a mile a minute in that book. Never mind. All right. Laughter's good. Sarah's really yucking it up. All right. Something funny, but listen out, man. They got me laughing. I didn't. Horns are good for kidding around. Okay. Never mind. It was in the book. Horns are good for kidding around. Keep laughing. All right. So here's H. Here's H. I write down in my notes at x equal root 2 negative and x equal root 2, H prime changes. I've apparently been saying that in a way that's confusing for years, hopefully. My apologies to you and my other 2,000 students that I've had. That's how textbooks say it. Like they'll say that at these 2 points, H prime changes, and you made a good observation. You're like, well, H prime doesn't change at all right at the point.
Okay.
It's around the point.
Okay.
But that's how they say it.
Okay.
They'll say that at that point, H prime is changing because you're prior and after.
Okay.
So at these 2 points, H prime changes from negative to positive. So there's H prime being negative, there's H prime being positive. That change occurred right at x equal negative 2 root. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. I don't even know the joke yet. I just keep laughing. Pink. Oh, please tell me. Save me from me and Sarah, please.
So you just leave the gap where it's undefined so you don't know if it's straight up or if it's anything there?
Good answer.
Okay.
I don't really know what to do there.
Okay.
So I just left it like, I don't know.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus, it didn't really matter because they want to know what's happening at these 2 points.
Okay.
They didn't ask for what's happening at 0. So I'm like, oh, don't have to worry about it. Anyone else? That's 19. Please give me a 1 or 2 if this makes perfect sense in pink. 1 or 2 if that makes perfect sense. Sarah's still figuring out what 1 and just kidding. I'm feeling slow. Show me 1 or 2 if it makes sense. 1 or 2. The pink statement, 1 or 2.
Do we need to clarify that it's a minimum or just relative?
Oh, that was really stupid. How many noticed that mistake? I didn't. I'll give you 3 for that. 4 for all 3. Question. That's 19. That's 19. Everybody good? Okay, look up here. I'm gonna vote against secret ballot, secret tunnel, something like that. Some cartoon my kids used to watch all the time. Is that so? No? Dr. Lieber has secret tunnel? I don't remember that.
On the sign card, when you're deciding if you're gonna use which one. So I thought if you're given and you want to find the count, I thought you used as double.
True.
But on this one, we're using as a car.
It's because you made, let me see, this is not a criticism, but I think what happened, Ellie, you made this, you've got kind of in your head that a relative minimum is associated with concavity. And you don't want to do that. The definition for an F has a relative min.
But it doesn't, aren't we doing the recording?
Not yet, we're just doing, this is all 19. All 19. Is that better? Yeah, all 19. So to the secret Nacho Libre tunnels. Secret ballot. Look at 20, please. This is Ellie's question. Look at 20, give me your vote. To answer 20, do we need a sign chart of H, H prime, H double prime, H triple prime? Show me. What do we need a sign chart of for problem 20? H, H prime, H double prime. I'm trying to make it so it's easy to remember. H double prime, H triple prime. That's why I think this is H. Show me. What did Lennon say? We have so many left.
So many inside jokes.
Inside joke.
Brigham Bromley's Wally, Libre tunnels, and Dallin Richardson. I mean, come on.
Benedict Cumberbatch. All right, if you're doing this, give yourself 2 more tickets.
Sure.
It's right here. Look at Dennis's chart. So this is what Ellie was talking about. Okay, this is what Ellie was talking about. When you don't have the ability to make a graph, remember back here. Think of what Kelsey said. This really isn't a graph of H. It's just kind of a quick representation so I can remember what's kind of happening. Are we good on that? It's not really a graph of H. So when you don't have the ability to make a graph, you're stuck with Danica's chart. Thank goodness we have it. It really helps a lot. I've got to figure out what H is concave up. We don't have anything called an increasing chart. So you don't make an increasing chart of H prime. You make a sine chart of H double prime. Question? So here I am making the derivative. This is 20. So here I am finding the derivative of H double prime. Please write that down, step through it, ask about any step that doesn't make sense. Please.
Why can't you why can't you, how do I say it?
Which line are you looking at?
Number 2.
Good.
The x times the 2x, why can't you multiply those together?
Oh, I did. I just saved the line to do it.
Oh,
No,
but then when it's 2, is it because the negative's still acting on it? Because it'd be two x squared, wouldn't you be able to factor out the x squared?
Oh, gotcha. No, because, like if this is, so are you thinking that if this is 2x squared, and in fact, let's write it like this. So we'll put in a little extra. I'm trying to read your mind to see if I understand your question. So are you thinking that at this point we could factor x squared from the, gotcha. Here's why you can't. To factor, I first notice I've got expression minus expression. That's good. But the factors of this expression are 2, x and x. That's good. But factor means something that multiplies to create an expression. So really nothing multiplies to create this. You could say you got x times x and then minus 2, but that's not just multiplication. That's multiplication and subtraction. To create this term, there's no way to say we have anything other than this times 1. So the factors of this expression are really x squared minus 2. So I can't factor an x from this. Does that make sense? I could do this one, Jackson. 3 tickets, it's a good question. I can factor an x squared from here and here, but partially factoring the numerator doesn't really ever help. So I just don't worry about it. Good question. Anyone else on finding h prime, double prime? Question? Cool. Once I have h double prime, I need to make a sign chart of h double prime. So here we go. Here's the first factor. It's very similar to one we already did today. There is no value of x which will cause this to equal 0. That's the sign chart. This one, the only value of x which causes it to be anything other than positive is 0. So h double prime has a very different sign chart. And now I can write the answer. H of x is concave for all x, except x equals 0. Why? Because h double prime is positive for all x except x equals 0. Give me 1 or 2 if the orange makes sense, please. 1 or 2 if the orange makes sense. 2 more seconds. Good work. 30 seconds till about. Any questions? Please, Chad.
It's not popped up at x equals 0 because x equals 0 is technically undefined.
It said earlier, actually,
Yeah.
yeah, that's very good. And it's really because consistently throughout the problem, we always have this x term in the denominator, so it's undefined. Okay.
Can you go?
Oh, sorry.
Or never mind.
Good work, you guys. Have a good break.
Yeah.
Go back, please. Go back.
I'll do it today.
Jim, I might do one too, but not for Jim.
I'll give it.
Do it just for Jim.
So there's no what?
So technically there are 6 FRQs. Every FRQ usually has it's more like 24. Actually, mine's 30.
Are you going to take those guys tonight?
The orange that was like on the last one, that would be enough.
What?
Lit.
We're practice tomorrow morning.
No, because they could.
Probably 18.
Thank you.
So
I know.
you're welcome. Oh. So you want to take this. So this is a practice test for test number 3. And because it's really important that you get used to working without answers, there are no answers. So you don't want to do the work here, you want to do the work in the notebook. And we will be checking this on Thursday, so on the 1st. And answer your questions. I will. Now I did give answers to the, there was a couple of 3 response ones at the end. Those I gave answers because they're a little tricky, plus I want to make sure you understood the concepts associated for sure. So that would for sure be Chance.
Hey, I'm wondering how the times are during eating or lunch or going to work for you?
As long as you, what do you have?
Thursday or Sunday?
Yeah, just hurry, let's do this.
I love you.
You have demonstrated great honesty whenever I've been around you, Mitchell. So, as a reward for your honesty, that's your choice.
Okay.
I have a lunch meeting today, so I won't be here, so the door will actually close, the light will be off.
Okay.
So what you do is, you don't want anyone to bother you.
Right.
If you turn on the light, people will come in, and then you're kind of like, oh, he's not here, and you have to keep. If you just want to work and not get disturbed, because I really have to leave today like at 2:12. I sneak out a couple minutes so I can keep here at quarter.
Okay.
So I can't be running long before, so starting at lunch is a really good idea.
Okay.
So you just come in, just with the window open, you'll be able to see this fine. Then we can do
Hiram Halstead and Dylan Walters, please come to the main office. Hiram Halstead and Dylan Walters, please come to the main
I talked
office.
to you about being gone all
Yeah.
next week, so can I get like the practice test and what we're gonna do? And then you also talked to me about getting me the answers. Like,
Yes.
when are we doing the, like, we won't go.
So, good question. So I'll hand this to
Noah
everybody.
Jenkins,
So I'll give
Ben
this to everyone.
Waltons, Casey Huntsman, Emily Guyman, and
In
Tanner
class on
Campbell,
the
please come.
first, I'll read the answers and then answer questions, not as many as I can. But I'll give this one on the first, and then on the 5th, I'll again read the answers, answer questions, and the test is on the 7th. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I had this wrong 4 times. Okay. I don't know why, but I thought I was gonna be gone for 3 class periods, but I'm only gonna be gone for 2.
Oh, that's good. That's 2 days.
So I'll be gone that whole week.
Which week? This one?
Yes.
Okay. So the good news is you don't lose any new material.
Okay,
You
that's
just
good.
lose the ability to hear the questions, but you can watch the videos to kind of help with that.
Okay.
And you don't typically ask a lot anyway, which is not bad, it's just that's how you are. So the video is pretty helpful for you. I gotta stop the video, I was running long. The second class was 2 hours, so I forgot to push the stop button. So anyway, let me give you these, let me get you the answers on.